The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Century 1910. Alan Moore, Kevin O'Neill. Rogues in the Gallery. Alan Moore, author and dandy. They say Todd Klein designed this tat and spun his calligraphic skills on it. Kevin O'Neill, artist and probably Irish. To be sure, Ben Digmelia's colouring gills the lily and all. American publisher, eavesdropping. Those foolish fops will work for scraps. 1910. Freighters and soarers, beloved freighters and soarers, we are gathered in the Preface House. We can begin. But Oliver, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Master. Master, do we even know what we're attempting to call down? What if it's calm yourself, Iliel? We work only the law. See Freighter Cyril and Freighter Simon. Do they seem afraid? Observe Sora Sybil. Does she tremble? He's right, Sora. All the master's talking about is a child. What could be more harmless? Quite. It's not the end of the world, Sora Leon. Well said, Freighter Cyril. What we are seeking to establish here is but the founding stone of an invisible college. A moonstone. A moonchild. And once that child fulfills its destiny, then shall the kingdom of the earth be plunged into a strange and terrible new aeon. One, what keeps mankind alive? Get your clothes on, lass. He wants to see you. Hello, Jack. Evening, Miss Jenny. Now calm down, Captain. You'll make yourself bad. Oh, steady now, young Miss Janny. I never brought you up here if I'd known the captain would upset you. He's not a captain. When was he in any country's navy? He's a prince who plays with boats. Dear Ishmael, please get out of my way. I'm not in any mood to talk to you tonight. Well, fair enough, child. But you know your father. Maybe sooner or later, but he'll have his way. He always does. Hmm. Far away in foreign climes near, I have run for 20 years. Though they thought me dead at times dear, few have shed me any tears. Ah, oh God. Tom, Tom, what the devil's going on? It's all right. It was just another dream. I'm awake now. Bully for you. You know you probably managed to wake up the Three Musketeers, don't you? Yes, probably. AJ, God, AJ, I need a drink. Well, I suppose at least the moon is above the yard arms, so I'll probably join you. What are you dreaming about anyway? More of this ominous stuff that Mina's so concerned over? I don't know. I only remember fragments. A sinister cult, a foreign girl swimming naked, someone singing a catchy song. Probably nothing significant. Good. I've never condoned all the mystical Tommy rot. No offense. None taken. If my premonition of a disaster in London hadn't been so strong, I wouldn't be mixed up with you people either. Us people? Don't make me laugh, Carnegie. You're more like them than I am. After all, at least you volunteered your services. I was blackmailed into this when they uncovered my burglary career. I ought to drop 1736 Amontillado, Citro. Just the job. But seriously, Raffles, you're not telling me you don't enjoy all this lark. I mean, you seem to get on with Marion Quartermain Jr. They're all right. It's that she. Yes, I know what you mean. That was a bit of a shock for me as well. Tom, what was a bit of a shock? I hope it was worth waking everybody over. Oh, Kanaki just had one of his nightmares. Isn't that right, Tom? Really? And did it yield any clues to our forthcoming disaster, Mr. Karnaki? I'm afraid not, although there was some stuff about a cult or sect of some kind. Actually, thinking about it, one of the chaps I dreamed of seemed terribly familiar. What a bore. All the chaps I dream of are terribly over-familiar. Oh, Lando, do shut up. So, Mr. Carnegie, where did you recognize the man in your dream from? Some former enemy, perhaps? No, he was hooded, but he looked like Simon If, an old boy from my chain walk club. The one full of decadents and occultists. The one full of decadents and occultists. Morning, everyone. Is it morning, isn't it? What's going on?
Mr. Carnegie's had another dream. This one about occultists, including one he knows apparently. Tell me, do you think the sect in your dream might be plotting the destruction of London that you foresaw? Well, I suppose it's possible. They seemed excited about some project or scheme. Well, I'll bet London's seen worse. Did I ever tell you about how I helped found London? New Troy, we called it then. Yes, you've told us dozens of times, actually. Look, the scheme you mentioned, could it have anything to do with the imminent coronation?
Perhaps. I remember nothing about ushering in the dreadful new eon. And presumably not the dreadful new eon of George V.
I know military intelligence are worried about some anti-social, anti-royal plot. Also, Halley's Comet is passing.
Mina, come on, you're not superstitious, surely?
I didn't used to be, Mr. Raffles. That's why I wear a, that's why I have to wear the scarf. Now I think a visit to Mr. Carnegie's club might be in order. I'd better have a shave then. You know, shaving every day, I absolutely hate it. It's much more tiresome than having a period every few weeks, don't you find?
Still a young man, not yet 20. I'd step out and take the air. As for pickings, I had plenty. Miller's Court 2 meters square.
Thinking about signing on for Challenger's expedition down Peru way. How about you?
Dunno. Might train as an airship pilot. Apparently it pays.
Look, either lucky either to keep the common away. Did you see the paper? It said old Coffin died.
What? A copper?
Yeah, and what sort of the Moonstone caper? Heart attacks, so the papers say. Watch it, Suki. How's it trade then? Brisk. Hardly stood up all night.
Mark my words, building bigger ships means war's coming. Remember the Titan?
Get you lucky, Heather?
New king, stuttering half-wit more like. But the 14th Earl of Gurney, his speech in the House of Lords,
all half balmy. It's them public schools, like Greyfriars. Lucky Heather, get your lucky coronation, Heather. Rumour about the Channelleys near Cornwallis Tea Shop and Limehouse. Roll up, ladies and gentlemen. Heather, keep the comet away with lucky Heather. Roll up for the wonder of the age. You've heard about it, you've read about it. It terrorized the Irish seas. It brought down the Barnes Bridge Martian. Now here it is, ladies and gents, before your very eyes. I give you the one, the original reproduction of the Nautilus. See the vessels that struck fear in ocean goers everywhere. See the fearsome pirate Captain Nemo, brought to life at tremendous expense. Roll up. One at a time, please. It's a Dolda Bob and a Nipper Zatanna. Thank you very much, sir. Roll up. Thank you, madam. Thank you, sir. Any more now, please? Thank you. Please excuse me. The sign outside. It says you need workers. That's right. Bound a week. With bed and board. What's your name? Jenny. Well, Jenny, it's mostly cleaning work you'll be doing. What's your second name? Diver. Jenny Diver. Ah, oh, come on. Well, welcome to our dive, eh? The pay's not much, but clever girl can prosper. Come on, I'll show you to your room. Hello there, it's Thomas Karnacki. I'm here for the Maryland Meeting Society. Mr. Karnacki, of course, and your friends? Oh, I'm sorry, this is Miss Murray and Mr. Orlando. Well, this is Mr. Quatermain, the son of the adventurer. They're my guests. Indeed, step this way. Incidentally, Mr. Quatermain, I greatly admired your father. A tragic loss. Yes, it was, thank you. Not at all, sir. Your code, madam? Rum-looking crowd, I must say. Alan, don't be so provincial. So, Mr. Karnacki, are these all occultists? Yes, or investigators of the unearthly. That's Dyson and Phillips. There's old Johnny Silence. The fellow in the turban talking to Dr. Taverner. That's Prince Zaleski. I can't see old Iffy anywhere. Never mind. Hopefully AJ is gathering intelligence at the moment. First time for everything, I suppose. Click. Look, Mina. Since I know Iffy, why don't Alan and I look for him? And you and Orlando could mingle. And pry. Good idea. I think a former doctor of mine used to come here. Oh, look. There's someone I know. This is getting interesting. If Simon Alexander. Excuse me, Mr. Zanoni, isn't it? My mother was in Fortunio's entourage to see you write this Mara. Fortunio, eh? A true gentleman. Fortunio had met them all, the Sicilian, the Count von Ost, all the greats. Fascinating. Perhaps we were looking for Simon If? You're not friends of his, I hope. You're a scoundrel. He sided against me in the magical war. He sided with Hardo. Oliver Hardo? The diabolist? Didn't he die in Staffordshire a couple of years ago? I hope so. Reportedly, Hardo was attempting to make homunculi. Homunculi? Why? This is just obvious. He needs a moonchild in the world. Mina, I'm afraid we've drawn a blank. Shall we going? Nicely timed, Tom. AJ should be finishing by now. And nobody has seen Iffy in weeks. Lots of gloomy talk, though. Gloomy? In what way? In an occult way. Imminent doomsday forecasts and the like, connected with the coronation. I say, fancy meeting you here. Fancy? Did you find If's files? Piece of cake. I've got it here. How about you lot? Did you find anything? Nothing very cheerful, I'm afraid. Ominous things are happening, at least according to psychic rumor, happening as we speak. Ishmael. Oh God, is he bad, Jack? I knew I'd finish him. I knew it'd finish him. Vanishing like that. Best you come and see for yourself. Oh no. Oh, Captain, look at you. We can't find us, sir. We've been searching all over these last weeks. They said there was a steamer passing around then, bound for London, but we couldn't tell if... Oh, all my old haunts, they remind me of the girls I know back then, poor and helpless, left behind me, never to be met again. There were Cathys, there were Marys, left for constables to find, while I sailed for Buenos Aires, out of sight and out of mind. 20 years I've been away, dear. Why, it's hardly changed at all. Hard up women get no say, dear. Rents go up and knickers fall. Down the gangplank to the docks, dear, when the lamps are burning down. Ah! Through the hen house like a fox, dear, Jack Macheath is back in town. You gentlemen can pick while she's singing out the slumps, and she's singing stomps as the peeking on the meter in the hallway wink and pass and you make some smart remark about her titties or her ass, but you'll never know to whom you're speaking. You have no idea who you're speaking. To drink, to put still, you suck in your guts, all puffed up by your own vanity. When you catch her staring at you while she's working and think she's smugly, she's staring at me and the ship, the Black Raider, with the skull on its masthead, moving from the sea.
He's dead.
So basically, they're holding a seance then. Pretty much. Mina's still worried about those occultists in Karnaki's vision. Well, the folder I pinched said, if knocked around with that Satanist chap. Oliver Hardo, yes. It said they'd been connected. But Hardo died 3 years ago in a fire. Yes, supposedly it's a mega business. It usually is with Mina. Come on, do your fancy stretching your legs. I'll say, she was originally your dad's companion, wasn't she? Oh, Mina, yes, she was. We thought we'd keep her in the family. Don't blame you. What about Orlando? Orlando? What do you mean? Well, you know all that stuff about posing for the Mona Lisa and whatnot. Is he balmy? Don't let him hear you say that. Whether that sword's Excalibur or not, he's awfully good with it. Is he? Is he close to you two? With all due respect, Raffles, that's none of your bloody business. No, I suppose not. Sorry. I'm just rather on the edge at the moment. Huh. Karnaki's doomsday prediction is getting into you, are they? It's not so much that. I'm more worried about the prospect of war. Would you fight? I'd feel obliged to. I've been a bit of a rotter over the years, Quatermain. Still, everybody dies eventually, eh? Yes. Yes, I suppose they do. Well, Mr. Karnaki, are you getting any information about If or Hardo from your, what did you call it? It's a scrying glass. The black mare made of obsidian. It's from the museum's collection. It used to belong to Gloriana's alchemist, John Suddle. Oh, honestly, Suddle is just a code name that the Queen Glory gave to Duke Prospero of Milan. I was there. Yes, darling, of course you were. Anyways, Mr. Karnaki, please continue. Tell us what's in your crystal ball. It's mostly just glimpses. There's strong indications of an apocalypse on the early years of the new century. Aren't there always? You do mean the current century, I take it. I presume so. I'm getting muddled visions of King's Cross and a hotel on the dockside. There's
human heads piled up. It's terrible.
I see. And are Simon If or Oliver Hardo involved in any of this?
Yes, I sense them mixed up in the apocalypse part of the vision. I also connect with the King's Cross.
King's Cross? That is the railway station. I suppose not an oblique reference to the imminent coronation.
I hadn't thought of that. The way divination works, it could be alluding to both things.
That sounds ominous. What about this hotel on the docks you mentioned?
Oh, that's more distinct. I sense some threat. A ruthless killer recently arrived in England. Some crisis erupting on Coronation Day. Nothing specific, though.
Perhaps not, although this ruthless killer part intrigues me. The papers report several dockside prostitute murders these last 3 weeks. There's even speculation that the Whitechapel fiend has returned. To assassinate the king, no doubt. Well, why not? It's scarcely more ridiculous than having high tea with Prospero and Queen Gloriana. Oh, come on. It's a bit elaborate, surely. And where do these King's Cross black magicians fit in?
They may not fit in at all, on the other hand. Their rituals may be causing all these events.
Thank you, Carnegie. I propose we investigate King's Cross after informing military intelligence, naturally. Oh, blast, does that mean we have to sit through a meeting with Fatty Holmes?
Well, not all of us, surely. Perhaps Holmes might have useful information. One meeting's hardly the end of the world.
Yes, well, let's hope not, anyways. I didn't think he'd ever really die. You don't know how I feel. We didn't even like each other.
That's not true. Bless you, miss. You were all he lived for. When he ran off, his heart broke.
He wanted a successor, Ishmael, not a daughter.
Ah, well, to tell you the truth, Miss Jenny, that was one of the things I'd come here to talk to you about.
What? Ishmael, how could you? You know I'll never agree. It was why I ran away in the first place.
Hear me out, miss.
It was his dying wish. He asked me to make some changes to the Nautilus, then give it to you. Ishmael, no. I don't want it. I don't want to be a fanatic. Anyway, I've made a new life here.
Not much of one, though.
You can't say that. I'm getting on well. I'm respected.
Respected? Jenny, you could be our queen. Just say the word, lass.
Ishmael, I'm not.
Miss Jenny, I'm begging you. I need a captain, miss. We all do. Look, at least take this flare gun.
Flare gun?
If you change your mind, the Nautilus is more than the Thames Estuary. If you ever want us, miss, just...
No. Haven't you been listening to me? Get out, Ishmael. Get out and leave me alone.
Miss Jenny, please.
Ishmael, just go. I won't change my mind. You know that. If you know anything about me.
Aye, miss, I reckon I do. You're stubborn. Just like your father. More tea?
Yes, yes, thank you, we will.
Splendid. Bond, more tea for our guests, if you would. Does Madam require milk with her tea?
Yes, just a splash would be lovely.
So, the business. What's Karnaki's vision?
Well, they're imprecise, but partly they concern a murder recently arrived in London's dockside.
Yes, the Macheath case. We're already studying that.
Macheath?
Yes, John Macheath, a merchant navy captain recently returned from Argentina. He left England in 1888, the year the Whitechapel slayings. Bloody hell. Quite right. He is also a direct descendant of Macheath from the 18th century highwaymen. The police inspector Tiger Brown is currently looking into it.
I see. Actually, Mr. Karnaki thought one occult source might be behind all of these events.
This would be the sect you mentioned. Yes, the Hoddo cult. Associate Mr. Raffles acquired information linking the suspect to our Hoddo. Of course, Mr. Hoddo is officially dead, although his magical order has survived him. I think their Prophet's house, or whatever it's called, is near King's Cross.
Really? That's interesting. King's Cross featured in Karnaki's visions. Do we have your leave to investigate?
I suppose so. You should consult Mr. Norton first, though.
Norton? You mean Andrew Norton, the prisoner of London?
Yes, he's good with the occult stuff, and order them to materialize at King's Cross soon. Besides, I believe he worked with the professors. Incidentally, how was my brother when you visited him last?
He's well. He sends his regards.
My dear Miss Murray and Miss Quartermain, Jr. It's always a pleasure, even when I know you're lying. Please, show yourselves out.
Cuttlefish Hotel. Your patrons of the house try to treat her like a louse, and you think she doesn't know what you're trying while she's clearing your leftovers. You'll suggest she needs a man, whereas I suggest you eat, drink, and be merry as you can, because tomorrow's soon enough for dying. Tomorrow we could all be dying. But the men on the docks tend to think with their cocks, and when they're with their pals all the more, so they'll act without a thought of consequence, and they'll do things they should think twice before, and the ship, the Black Raider, with a hell of a cargo, draws close to the shore.
So, this Norton. Norton? I'm afraid I haven't met him before. I've only heard about him. I'm told I'll know him when I see him. He worked for the 17th and 18th versions of the group, apparently. Oh, God, not another mortal like Orlando. No, Mr. Norton's reportedly more complicated than that. They call him the Prisoner of London, confined to the city, but not to any one century. Orlando's encountered him once or twice, or so he claims. Why isn't Orlando here, then? Well, firstly, when Orlando's male here, that irritates me. Secondly, he's more useful with Alan and Carnacki investigating this nearby court headquarters. So, hang on. Can you feel that pressure in your ears? I think it means Norton's almost here. Blimey, Mina, is this going to be all night? My hair's standing on end. I don't know. I haven't felt anything remotely like this since Alan and I were in Arkham. The sensation that something is just about to break through. Hi, how are you? Hi. We're very well, thank you. You must be Andrew Norton. This is Anthony Raffles and I'm Mina Murray. Gaslight Understudies. Marvelous. Oh, you know of us then? Of course. Coffins at Carfax. Blood and Oil. Patrick Keeler mapping the Martian's craters. Dead trails. Abandoned panics. I see. Actually, Mr. Norton, we were hoping you could inform us concerning one Oliver Hardo and also certain activities centered at King's Cross. Hardo, Crowley Mank, the great beast reflected in the over-polished occasional table. King's Cross, though. I'd be advised to be careful. The place is a myth sump, invites apocalyptic thinkings, dangerous agendas hurrying to make their connection. Apocalyptic? What do you mean? Isn't it obvious? July 7th, Paradise Backpackers, the constellation of cigarette burns on the archer's back. The stars, all right. Stars are right. Misplaced memorials, forgotten fires, Rumbaud, Verlaine, Lyric Grease, Boadicia's urban legend under the platform 10, a quarter platform over the franchise express gathering steam. Anyway, I'm afraid I can't stay. Appointments up the road, magic revivals, Hyde Park happenings, David Litvinov's ventriloquism, Jack the Hat. I expect to see you in 1969. What? Mr. Norton, you haven't answered our question, dude. Mina, come away. Something's happening. He's gone. AJ, I didn't understand any of that. Who's Archer? Who's Litvinov? Do you know for the first time in my life? I feel stupid. That fellow taught him bloody crossword clues.
He did link King's Cross with Apocalypse, though. Yes, he did. Come on, AJ. Our colleagues are supposedly on surveillance, but in Orlando's present mood, he might do something rash. With potentially world-ending consequences if Norton's right. A bad enough mistake could spell absolute disaster. It must have got you hard when you had her in the yard, but you no idea how hard things are getting, and you think what you done is as you unbutton your flies of an act so bloody shameful you can't look me in the eyes, and which you imagine you're regretting. Believe me, you don't know regretting. Tuck in your shirt while she's crawling and hurt, then return to your banter and beer. Another night, another dog sign victim, though she isn't quite as might first appear. In the ship, the Black Raider, with full blood on its timbers, is practically here. Orlando, Miss Murray said we should observe this place, not break in. Yes, well, frankly, Carnegie, Mina can sometimes be rather unadventurous. Oh, tell her you said that. You'll be losing your balls earlier than you expected. Oh, come on, Ellen, where's the harm? Raffles is always breaking and entering. She doesn't mind him. Do you think he fancies her? Can we just do this? All right, Carnegie, don't get in a funk. I'm no Raffles, evidently, but I was once very close to Sinbad. Pego like a stallion's, and the most ingenious thief of the 8th century. Oh, there we go. I can't say I like this atmosphere. He's got a point, Lando. If I know we're breaking in, I'd have a gun. Oh, do dry up, the pair of you. Who needs guns when I'm here with my fabled blade? Lando, that sword is an Excalibur. Yes, it is. And I had to subdue the real Lady of the Lake, the terrifying Undine, in order to grab it. Fellows, please. I think you should be taking this more seriously. What if Oliver Hardo really is still alive? Surely Hardo was just a fraud. Of course he was. Believe me, dear. After you've known Merlin, Faust, and Prospero, they're all frauds. Well, yes, let's hope you're right. Of course I'm right. Modern occultists are all talk. Prospero had more power in his little finger and they've gotten their entire
Ah, gentlemen, won't you come in? Cuttlefish Hotel. Your walls can fall fast asleep once you've counted all your sheep, and she's making up her mind when she's sleeping. You can moan into your pillows in your wretchedness and your guilt, and you're having doubts about the milk you've previously spilled. But I promise you it's no weeping, although you'll do quite a bit of weeping. She's out alone while you toss and groan in her rage and her shame and disgrace. And she thinks about you while you're smirking, while you're dreaming. And she thinks maybe she'll remind you of the place and the ship, the Black Raider, stirs out the harbor, and the moon hides its face. Oh my. Good God, Mina, look at that. It looks like it's over East End. Yes, it does. Let's ask the Bobby if he knows anything. Constable, excuse me. I'm Wilhelmina Murray. We're with military intelligence. Do you know what the flare is in aid of? Well, miss, they possibly captured Mac Heath. Mac Heath, the dockside murderer? That's him. If Tiger Brown's called Mac Heath, that flare could be the tart celebrating. I hear he'll hang before dawn. Before dawn? That's a bit hasty, isn't it? It's what your intelligence people ordered, I'm told. Anyway, I'd best be getting on. Evening all. Mina, is there something going on that we're missing? Very possibly. Come on, let's recall Alan and the others from the surveillance mission before we get in deep over our heads than we already are. What have you done to him? He's barely breathing. That is unusual. After my blasting rod, they're generally not breathing at all. Anyway, the question is, who are you? What are you doing here? I know the old fellow from my club, master. It's Karnaki. Karnaki the ghost finder. Oh, the whistling roomkeeper. I've heard of you. And I of you. And you're Oliver Hardo, I take it. What, me? Of course not. Hardo's dead, hadn't you heard? I'm Dr. Carswell Trelawney, previously of Stonedean and Lufford in Warwickshire. Freighter Simon, you apparently know already. This is Sora Sybil, and there's Freighter Cyril. Yes, exactly what it was in my dream, except there was another woman, someone called Iliel. Never heard of her. Iliel, though, the name adds up to 81, a lunar number.
Luna, I remember now. In my dream, you were planning to create something called a moonchild.
Really? Well, dreams can be nonsense. I assure you, I've currently no such plan. We are simple occult scholars. The master's right. You merely represented an invisible college. Absolutely. We're rather like the Rosicrucians. We gather in our house of professors to worship. So, Mr. Carnacki, perhaps your portentous visions were right, or mistaken. On the other hand, it's conceivable that they simply haven't happened yet. Now, perhaps you take your dishy young friend and leave, before he finds himself on the wrong end of my other blasting rod.
You filthy swine. Come on, Quatermain. Don't let him rile you. I doubt there's another charge in that magic wand of his. There's no sense in finding out the hard way.
Well now, Freda Cyril, there's a sign from the gods if I ever saw one. Evidently we should locate someone to be this Sora Iliel, and only then should we commence our moon child.
Oh, for God's sake, what the bloody hell happened to him? He was blasted with Hodo's wand. We're pretty sure it was Hodo. Hodo! What were you doing confronting Hodo, you idiots? You're supposed to be on a surveillance mission. Well, you see, Orlando said. Orlando, and you take instructions from this delusional trollop, or from me? Mina, dear heart, I'm actually present, you know. I don't care. This group is a shambles. Dare I ask if you learned anything valuable? Come on, darling, we did our best. Don't darling me. And I take it the answer to my question is no. The cult aren't planning anything. It wasn't like my dream. I see. So all this has been pointless. And that's our fault, is it? What about you? Did Norton tell you anything? That isn't the issue. At least we learned Macheath is to be hung at dawn tomorrow. What? Holmes didn't tell us about that. No, he didn't. I suggest we locate the proposed execution site and find out why. This team's useless. We need to get a grip on things. Well, perhaps if we had better leadership, we might not spend our time running in circles. Now, when I was Alexander's advisor, oh, that is the absolute limit. Listen, you can have your double bed to yourself tonight. I'm sleeping downstairs. Mina, don't tell the neighborhood. Oh, shut up. I'll be at Mackey's execution. At least your new strategist concocts a better plan. I expect I'll see you there. Mina. Well, that tears it. Lando, that has to be the most stupid thing you ever said. Oh, I don't know. There was, oh, look, what a wonderful horse. And that was a Troy. As the morning gently breaks, all you libertines and you rakes can congregate yourselves on the first one when she walks in to the lobby. You look hurriedly away and pretend to be concerned about the matters of the day. As it grows tense, if you're the last one, we never know which one's the last one. She sits there calm while outside there's an alarm, and you'll have your first moment of doubt when you notice that she's smiling through her bruises, and you think, Christ, what's she all she's smiling about? And the ship, the Black Raider, is announced on the wharf side by a scream from without. Mr. Holmes, there you are. Would you mind telling me what's going on?
No, not at all. It's an execution. They're hanging Macheath.
With respect, sir, I know that, but why so hurriedly? Is there to be no trial?
No, of course not. It might embarrass the aristocracy.
The aristocracy? What do they have to do with anything?
My dear lady, this is England. They have to do with everything. Especially 1888's notorious Whitechapel murders. You see, Macheath absconded for Argentina in early December that year. The last murder happened on Boxing Day.
Macheath didn't do the last one, so who?
The prostitute's name was Grace. We believe she was disemboweled by the 14th Earl of Kearney. Better everyone think Macheath did them all, eh? A trial would only raise awkward questions. Incidentally, how did your predicted Armageddon turn out?
We seem to have predicted wrongly. Hoddo's called. It really is Hoddo, poses no current threat, and you've apparently captured our ruthless killer.
Yes, apparently so. Now, if you'll forgive me, I'd like to conclude matters before anyone has time to interfere.
Who'd do that?
Madam, there are certain senile lunatics at the House of Lords who might do anything. Macheath, do you have any last words?
Why, thank you. Why, thank you kindly, sir. I do have something to say as it happens.
You people live on while I must die. Pray spare me your disgust at my confessions. You'll be standing here as well as I, but hide your crimes behind polite expressions. Don't mock me just because I've took a tumble. I'm not the welcome-necked sword like you. The current circumstances prove that true. So do not grow, but instead be more humble. Dear fellows, now you've proved crime never wins. Please pray to God that He forgives my sins. Shall you or we be judged the worst by time, you gentle folk who've had it rough? We've all had much, though never quite enough, and end these chipped in pits of lime. Dear friends, and me you see your own dim eyes. You climb lonely, lead this trap door into this drop where I've gone before. Then we who've gathered wealth will gather flies. In me you see how your decline begins. So pray God he forgives us of all of our sins. The girls who advertise their company, the men who screw them or else save them, pimps who'll relieve them of the money, and the opium seller who depraves them. The bards and brutes and second stringers, the waifs who died from the rubbish bins, the queers, the priests with wandering fingers. Dear God, forgive them of their sins. But not the law, those who make it, the ones for whom the rules are written. They've turned the world into a snake pit, yet have no cure when we get bitten. God maim the tyrants and sense and cut their throats with rusty tense. Though since such talk might count against me, instead pray they forgive my sins. Someone should take a prick and beat them. Someone should flay their pampered skins. I'm just glad I'll no longer meet them, and trust that they'll forgive my sins.
No, no, run, no, no. God, what is this havoc? Excuse me, we're agents of the Crown. What on earth is going on? Let me by, it's pirates, hundreds of them. Pirates? Was he joking? This is the 20th century. Yes, yes it is, isn't it? I keep forgetting. Come on, let's look down. Here. I don't believe this. Half the dark side is, well, it's gone, and there are pirates everywhere. Gosh, I like the sound of that. Christ, Orlando, don't, not on your own. Oh, hush, this is the blade of England's greatest defender. Only until you've stolen it from him. Mina, honestly, you're forever harping on about the past. Let's see if I still remember how to do this. Oh, bloody hell, hang on, Lando, we're coming. Well, all right, but only if you join the pirates to even things up. This is a life, young Raffles. Believe me, I've swatched a few buckles in my time. Yes, I bet you have. For God's sakes. For God bloody sakes. Oh, up there. Oh, up there. Jack. Broad Arrow Jack. And this is the Nautilus? What is happening? Blimey, Miss Murray. Was it Captain? I know who she is. I saw her once before, when she first came to our island with my father. She's the woman you caught on the beach. But that was 12 years ago. In 1898, you wouldn't have been... My God, were you that little baby? We were all little babies once, and we all grew up. Do you know my father had nothing but bad things to say about you? His foremost complaint was that you were a woman. This leads me to suppose you were strong and honorable. Otherwise, I'd have killed you. I tire of England and fancy and pirate life. Send word. Until then, leave me alone, and perhaps I'll leave you alone. All right, look lively. Recall the raiding parties and seal the hatches. We're taking her down. Wait, I don't even know your name. Me? I'm no one. Prepare to dive, Mr. Mate. Aye, aye, Captain. You know, Ishmael, she's as bad as your old mate. I'll tell you what, Jack, she's worse. Eating, bleeding wonderful. Mina, you're all right. Where to take cover? They brought up these things like Nemo's old repeating harpoon pistols. That's because they were Nemo's pistols. I think I've just met his successor. Look at me. I thought that looked like the Nautilus. And you met Nemo's successor? What was he like? Terrifying, Ellen. She was terrible. We failed. We failed to prevent the disaster that Carnacki foresaw. With due respect, Mina, what I saw was much worse than this. I think Otto's apocalyptic plan may have yet to happen. It might be years, decades. Super. At least we've that to look forward to. In the meantime, I'm going back to the museum. I'm sick of all this death. I'm sick of all of it. Quite frankly, I'm sick of all of us. Looks like the visitors are leaving then. I'm glad you weren't hung for the murdering Mac. Ask you any protection. This was terribly dangerous. Suki, you're right. I sometimes wonder how humanity continues. Those do-gooders certainly aren't helping much. No, they're not. You're worthy souls who make it your ambition to rid us of the vice that's in our hearts. Should first attend our problems with nutrition. Let that be where your moralizing starts. Your folk who think restraints declining. Your desert should face the way you know the world to be. Your portions are unfair. Whatever you assert first, let us each, then preach morality. Don't drown on about the missionary position or how you steer the crust when times are thin. First remedy a dietary condition, then read your sermon. That's where we'll begin. You lot were made, a life's work of ruining us. Should learn how life is when you've reached the crunch. Whichever way you look at it, you're screwing us to save the lectures after lunch. Just make sure that you're born most deserving, or get your bowels filled, the world starts serving. What keeps mankind alive? What keeps mankind alive? The millions that would mistreat and cheat and beaten and burned and barbecued. Mankind may just survive if sincerely every decent human urge subdued. Try not to trim the truth to suit your needs. Mankind kept alive. By monstrous deeds. End of 1910. Minions of the Moon by John Thomas. Chapter 1, Into the Limbus. Mina and Alan Bloomsbury, 1910, in the wake of the Black Nautilus. Alan and Orlando, Paris, 1964, her long, adorable lashes. Vol and Captain Universe, Stardust Tomb, The Lesser Magellanic Cloud, 1964, Requiem for a Space Wizard. Prospero and his operatives, The Blazing World, 1964, Coming Forth by Day.
Mina and the Gollywog, The Rose of Nowhere, 1964, Huckleberry Friends. Robin Yaldwyn, What Now? Circa 1910 to 1911, The Copper Foundry